I think we have a picture. Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we all doing? And welcome to BRL. We're very late, I know. I've been having issues with my Elgato card, which has caused it to be rather delayed. So you join me just at the end of qualifying. It's round 8. We're here at Japan. Um, We'll just see how qualifying ends. Excelist is on his final lap. I've literally only just started watching this as well. So he's coming into the pits. He's done by the looks of it. Kresnos isn't improving on his time. He's got a bit of while to improve. Mr. Cookie stumbling away by the looks of it. Sort of behind a few people here and there. That's not what he'll be wanting. Just taking a quick little look at the standings. And currently, Kresnos has overtakes for P2, and with that result, he will take P3 today. Excelist is down in P6 at 62 points, so not that much of a threat to the championship, the Ferrari driver. But he has gone and put it on pole here today by a considerable amount of time, just shy of a tenth of a second. It is again quite a big drop back to then Kresnos, Short Marcus, Cookie, Antonio, Jackalacco, Alex, Stinky Pinky, etc., etc. I think we've literally got Jimmy going into the pits, and then and Chai, and then that's it. So yeah, J Horse 156, Kresnos 129, Mr. Cookie 126, Thompson 99. So it is still Cookie and Kresnos, which are the two closest competitors on the grid, but they have got a way of a gap between them during qualifying. By the looks of it, about a tenth of a second. It don't help as well. I am dead tired. I've had such a long day. And then for my Elgato to decide to give up on me was just exactly what I needed tonight. Nevertheless, there we go. Excelist on pole position with J-Horse. Kresnos, Short Marcus, Mr. Cookie, Antonio, Jackalacco, Alex, Stinky, Thompson, Kodoy, Hazard, R. Henson, Hoppius, Daedric, Chai, and then Jimmy Jags, who had a quali ban, I believe. Or he was just AFK. Got no idea. Nevertheless, that completes qualifying. And yeah, so as that's just finishing up, let's take a little look at this stuff. So as I say, J-Horse considerably leading the championship at the moment. This is another good opportunity for him to extend that lead, and this could also be a rather good opportunity for the McLaren team to extend their lead in the front of the championship. Nearly just over 32 points exactly, and the point between Alfa Romeo and Mercedes will be interesting to see how that goes down as well. Other than that, let's take a quick little look. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Suzuka in Japan. We've got 3 sectors of utter carnage, 18 turns, the Suzuka S's over the bridge, under the bridge. It is an absolutely wild track with great overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and through 130R. I wouldn't go through, but I'd definitely go into the chicane just afterwards. It is one of the most famous. I hate this track. It is not good. Terrible. Honestly, Jimmy, I'm going to have to agree with you there. I can't drive Suzuka for the love of me. For the love of God, sorry. But it's a great track to watch people try and fight, try and drive at. Because it just corners carnage. As you say, a track that's challenging to drive will be a track that causes carnage. Well, we should be getting started any moment now. We are still waiting for players, which is interesting. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's a pretty long pause. And what's that? That's Excelist stopped on track. That's absolutely heartbreaking for him, which means J-Horse inherits the lead immediately, and he actually crashes out straight away before we even hit turn 1, and we hit a VSC straight off the bat. There's Excelist going the wrong way. And what on earth happened? What happened? I don't know. But Excelist finally manages to get himself going. And he's typing in general chat as he pulls over to the side. And there we go. That's his race over. The Ferrari driver was on pole position, but it wasn't to be today. He's had an absolute nightmare, probably with the servers. and it's gone horribly, horribly wrong. Fastest sector 1 for J-Horse, unsurprisingly. He has at the front of the grid, and it's not really an opportunity to make all that much of a move. But by the looks of it, the Aston Martin Jackalacco having a little interesting look up the inside of Antonio, decides not to go for it in the end. We got a little bit of a yellow flag towards the back here. What's happened? Nothing too much at the moment. By the looks of it, everybody is going again if there was any incidents. But right at the front of the field, we've got a very interesting battle. We've got J-Horse and Kresnos ever so slightly behind. Could get a very good run here through the back straight over the bridge. Can he get the run he needs? I think he has as well. He's got it. Can he now go to the inside and get on the brakes? No, he can't. J-Horse defending magnificently there to keep the position and almost push the Mercedes into the back of short markers, who could now bring on the assault attack. Possibly even go for both of the moves. It's pretty much a train without the DRS down the main straight. I think that Mercedes has got a good opportunity. He's going to have to go around the outside, but he decides against it in the end. J-Horse once again defending in a fantastic position to get himself well and truly in the right place to keep that position, which is just going to make this much more harder for the Mercedes behind and for pretty much a very large sum of drivers. What's that? Back to really here. Back to Jay Thompson is all within a close fighting chance of each other. All of these drivers unbelievably close to one another and attacking almost constantly. Mr. Cookie right now is looking a threat to short markers. He's going to have to get maybe a bit of a late break move here, and especially once we open up DRS, we're going to have more issues with just DRS trains being absolutely nightmarish. But for now, it has pretty much remained the same as when we got started. Everybody's up 1 or 2 positions from Exilus Nightmare. So far, not many overtakes have taken place at all. Everybody has stuck to their position, gotten themselves into the race, getting themselves nice and comfortable. And I think it's a bit of a trait of Japan. It's not guaranteed to go for a move early. Exilus, what happened, my friend? What happened? Don't know what to say. I mean, it's an utter tragedy to see that happen. But yeah, talk us through what happened there. That would be greatly appreciated, as now DRS is indeed enabled. Drivers are going to have a boost on the one in front, but it doesn't help when you're in such a big train that no driver doesn't have DRS other than the leader. And Stinky Pinky, interestingly enough, who's just broken out of the second to Jackalacco. So possibly 2 little trains beginning to form rather than one much, much larger train. Stinky Pinky's already picked up a 3-second time penalty, I believe. Yes, it is, from multiple warnings. I wholeheartedly imagine he's going to have to really push that car if he wants to try and get back within the reins of everybody else. And I think he's doing so pretty nicely at the moment. He has just about managed to get himself back within DRS range by about 0.2 as it currently stands. But at the same time, it's just as easy to lose him, as he's exactly done on my count and is now back out of that second margin. So that's something to keep an eye on to see whether or not he's within that DRS zone by the time we hit 130R and into the chicane. Behind, though, Short Marcus is going to the outside, inside of the track, interestingly enough, maybe trying to get a little bit of free air to go round. And yeah, this is a difficult thing, isn't it? It is just very rare for people to be able to get the run without DRS down the back of that straight to be able to make a move. But here we go. We could have our first good opportunity of the day with DRS open. Can the Mercedes look to go down the inside? Yes, he is. He's going to go for the dive bomb. And does he make it? No. Oh, yes, he does. Eventually, is J-Horse now all of a sudden under threat from the Alfa Romeo. Can he get it? He's going to have the inside on this left. And yes, he does. Possibly opening the door for Mr. Cookie to get past. But he doesn't go for it. It was a bit too risky of a move for him. But there we go. We've already seen now how confident and how helpful DRS can be to get yourself past as Kresnos makes the most of it on its first time round. Like 2 or 1 days ago, my 80% of my data in F1 23 got lost, and I don't know why it didn't save my buttons. Oh no, so your clutch just you didn't have a clutch. Oh, that's painful, man. That's the worst. Oh, I feel so bad. That's an absolutely horrible thing to happen. Right, anyway, looking slightly further back, and Short Marcus is putting the attack on J-Horse at the moment, who's already lost out as 1.3 to Kresnos. Kresnos having an absolutely fantastic second half of the season, and this could be a very, very helpful 0.1 of a second, because if it means that he is not within DRS zone by the time they hit the point, which he's not going to be, he's not going to have DRS J-Horse, which means that very good chance that Short Marcus might be able to get in front. And additionally, it means that Kresnos hasn't got to worry about DRS this time round. Short Marcus, though, does get up the inside. Can he get it done before the first turn? Yes, he can. Sounds like Bob the Builder right there. Pack is beginning to spread a little bit, but we have got a couple of drivers just behind the two Red Bulls following each other very closely in the middle of the pack. As I think, what's that? Stinky Pinky is going to try and go up the inside. He's going to have the outside for this corner, then the inside for the next. Is he going to be able to pull it off? Can he get the better acceleration? He's going to have to go all the way around the outside for the final section of the S's. But yes, he does. Stinky Pinky does finally get himself up into P8, sorry, after a lengthy battle with his very own teammate. And unfortunately, as I've been talking about that... Oh, no, he did get it done down the back straight, didn't he? No, what am I on about? I'm losing the plot, man. I'm losing the plot. We've already seen that move be made, so that's nothing too terrible to worry about. Interesting enough, though, Koidoi is still very close to the back of his Red Bull teammate, putting in unbelievable amounts of pressure on, well, the other Red Bull. Can he get a move done? He's incredibly close down this back straight, isn't he? This is one of the closest fights we've seen so far down this section of the track. Can he get a move into the chicane? No, he can't. But I think with a good acceleration out of this corner, we are going to have to just ever so slightly jump ahead, see if anybody is going to go for a move here. Don't think so. No one looks close enough or anything to go for a move, but they are going to go for one here, as Koidoi does manage to sweep himself back past at the start-finish straights and get himself back up into P8. So this could be an excellent fight between the two Red Bulls all race long. I mean, imagine how amazing that would be to see just two people scrapping it out lap after lap after lap after lap. But that's the thing, you lose so much time going for a move around this track in pretty much any place other than the back straight, that, you know, unless you're absolutely devoted to it and you think, yeah, I can get past it, honestly, what's the point in fighting it? Stay behind, wait until that DRS zone and just take it. And if you feel like you're faster, at the end of the day, you should pull away over the length of the track. Righty, it's looking just sort of tyre-wise, really. We didn't actually get the chance to look at tyres earlier, so I thought I'd have a little look now. So top 6 have all decided on the medium tyres. Antonio's in a pretty decent position here, where he's still within the fight pretty much across the board. He's literally only a couple of seconds away from the leader. What's that? 3.5 seconds from the leader in P7. Unbelievable, but nevertheless, he's on a set of hard tyres, which puts himself in quite a good position here, because the next man on hard tyres is Stinky Pinky, and he's not only got his teammate to get past, which he's been known to have a bit of a scrap with, but he will have to just climb those couple of extra positions, as indeed Antonio does go for the move. They are ever so slightly behind, 1.3, so he is just out of the DRS zone, hence why he had a much better opportunity to go for a move then. But nevertheless, he gets himself up a position and just putting himself on those hard tyres in pretty much just looking for those optimal places. As what's going on down here, as all chaos has broken loose, as I think both of the Williams have been able to make a move on their respective people. But the Mercedes is going to soar straight back through. Jimmy Jags, with a rather nice move around the outside, has managed to get himself back up into P13 and force Alex back down to P14. Slightly, well, I say slightly in front, quite far in front, and Antonio is on a bit of a run at the moment. He was a considerable way back from Jackalacco, not half a lap ago, but now he's within a tenth of quarter, really, of a second. He's rocking the number 3 car, which is surprising. I thought that would have been cut by now because Daniel's back in, but there we go. He is able to run the number 3 AlphaTauri. Funny coincidence, that. Now, he's not going to have quite an easy of a time this time round, because he's got this slight issue of DRS Train this time round. Unfortunately, or fortunately, last time for him, he had the joys of Jay Thompson not being within a second. But this time, he will have to put up with it. And he's not quite going to be able to pull it off. As indeed was J Horse, who, if you did see that, was going for a little move. We tried to look at both of them at the same time, and we pretty much got the same result out of both. A fairly decent attempt, but nothing to write home for. And I have a weird suspicion that this is going to be quite a repetitive thing. We're going to have a possible move into turn one, and it's going to be quiet for the rest of the lap, and then we're going to have a possible move into turn one, quiet. Possible turn one, quiet. Possible. Oh, what's happened here to the Alpine? He's gone round by the looks of it at turn one. Maybe just got on the power a little bit too early there, and that has forced him onto the grass. No safety cars for now. Yellow flag's been waved clear. We're back to all green running. Isn't that wonderful to hear? Shall I tell you what I've done? I've done a stupid. Importantly, I don't think my PS4 controller's here. I might be able to. This might just be about long enough, I reckon. But does that mean I've now lost my headphone audio? So I can't hear the cars, but you can. And I feel like just having that hum in the background of my ear does help me with commentating. But for all of you, I'll be so very kind, and I'll let you listen to the race rather than me. Because we're in the... Oh, sorry about that. That was loud, I imagine. I have no idea. I can't hear it. Do excuse me, I'm going to have to readjust my... Righty, I return with my... ladies and gentlemen, you'll be happy to know I've gone back to my sparkling water. I haven't had it in a good few weeks, because usually I always talk about how great it is. Oh, Daedric, 3-second time penalty. I'd say that's not going to help his race, but actually he doesn't lose position as of right now. He remains in P15. So I guess that's a little win. You've got to take the bonuses out of the discredits. So yeah, I mean, this front group is intense to say the least. Only issue is they're all so very close together, and they're driving right on the edge, right? They're doing a cracking job. But none of them can make a move because the DRS train's that bad. It's genuinely one of the most mental DRS trains I've seen in a long while. But out of absolutely everybody, I've got to give credit to Antonio right now, because he's sitting in the middle of this. Pretty dire situation for him, because he's on a set of hards and everyone around him's been on mediums. And he's kept up, and he's within the DRS train. And I mean, this DRS train is what? Just shy of 3 seconds long, and we've got 7 cars within it. What's happened here? Kodoi off of the track, just finishing up at the S's. Does get himself going once again. We do go back to all green racing. And I mean, just look in the mini-map. How close. That's race start kind of levels of closeness. You don't get that many people close together this far into a race, and yet we do, and yet none of them have made that many overtakes. I mean, genuinely, look at number of overtakes. For the most part, Krasnov short markers up 2, J-Horse down 1, Mr. Cookie up 1, that's from race start, Jackalaco's up 2, so that's... You got to remember, each driver was given a +1 from Excelist binning it, because obviously he was at the front, he was in P1. Interestingly, Short Marcus has been the man first to bite the bullet. How much of an advantage is that going to give him? It's a lap 11 of 27, so it's early. Fairly early. Actually, No, it's not. That's probably about on time. I now fear every other driver except for Antonio will come in next lap. I think, roughly, give or take. This is quite an interesting strategy battle because having that clean air is going to get you out of the DRS train. But, ooh, there's Jakalaka getting a little leery. Opens the opportunity for the AlphaTauri to go up the inside at the hairpin. Can he make this move done? He's going to have to get the acceleration on the exit. And yes, he does. Not quite. I think the... Jesus. Oh, no, he has. He has. That looked like Jakalaka had a chance there. But very impressive driving from Antonio. Importantly, though, this has broken the DRS train. By a tenth of a second at the moment, it has broken it. It's no longer broken. That didn't take long. So, that means Antonio's managed to get past both of the Aston Martins on merit now. On just pure overtaking. One in DRS and one through a mistake. So, absolutely on fire at the moment. I don't know whether he picked up DRS there. Or whether he's just about missed out on it. I'm not 100% sure. Has he gotten it? No, he hasn't. He's going to be pretty much a sitting duck through this section. But I think the two Aston Martins, plenty far enough. Oh, one of them's plenty far enough behind. He's gone into the pits. But yeah, Jay Thompson was plenty far behind enough to not cause too many issues. As you now worry, is that little break in the DRS going to be enough? As there we go, everybody just sorting themselves out after the pit exit. Short Marcus has come out P9, Jakalako's come out P11, with a gap of there and thereabouts 2.8 between them, which was roughly the gap before, little bit larger. So I think Short Marcus has gotten a little bit of an advantage out of going I was right there. Out of going for the early stop. English, I don't even know. You can tell that I'm a tired man. So I can't English today, apparently. This is pretty much just... Medium should be 13 laps and hards 14 laps. That was my strategy. Okay, so to come in lap 11 on the mediums, you're severely undercutting. To come in lap 12, you're on the undercut. 13, standard strategy. 14, overcut, unless you're on the hards already. As Jay Thompson picks up a 5-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane as he comes in on lap end of 12, start of 13. And it's for a set of hards, unsurprisingly. He's expecting to now go to the end of the race on those tyres. So now our very large DRS train is now... Whoa! Red Bull is... soared past our Henson, sorry. Our Henson, sorry, is sorry, not our Henson. Stinky... Oh, I'm so tired, man. Stinky Pinky has just absolutely launched one down the inside of... our Henson there, only to run ever so slightly wide, and has allowed our Henson to pull back in front again. But that was incredibly close, as now here we go, these lot of bunched back up again. Our fight of 7 is now a fight of 4. Don't be too depressed though, because the rest of them are literally just down the road. It's really not the be all end all. Every time that 5-second time penalty is of speeding in the pit lane for J-Horse. Either way, Short Marcus has just managed to get past out of the acceleration zone of the hairpin, interestingly, and has absolutely flown past Hazard here and has already gained nearly a second of a gap between them. As there we go, J-Horse and Kresnos into the pits, which leaves Mr. Cookie out. He's going for the long stop. He's going for the overcut on what looks to be quite struggling tyres, if I'm honest. There are a couple of little spots and patches on those. As Antonio will now basically sit behind him, he might even come in this lap, maybe go for the next lap, I'm not too sure. But interesting enough, there's going to be lots of movement here around the pit lane now. Are they going to go out in front of Jakalako? Yes, they are. So now, interestingly, Short Marcus has got the benefit on Kresnos here by a fair bit of time as, whoa, what just happened there? I think it was correct. Oh, Hazard struggling, man. He's struggling on his internet. Either way, now that gap is 2.5 seconds between Kresnos and Marcus. Marcus has timed this really well. That undercut has played massively into his favour. Only issue is, he's now, oh my god, man, I'm struggling today. He's now got the issue of having, what, like 2-3 lap older tyres than everybody else, which means that time, in theory, should tick down after this first lap. Oh, what's this? This is Jackalacco and Hazard fighting, currently in between one another, currently ghosting now, as there we go, Jackalacco does get himself in front, as we watch a very EA kind of overtake, as our Henson's swoops through there at the hairpin. Once again, I'm loving these moves at the hairpin. It's my favourite place to go for a move, even if it's not somewhere you can go particularly often. And Antonio is indeed going for one more lap, as Mr. Cookie now finally does come into the pit lane and picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunately for him, that is what we know in the world as problematic, as he'll now be exiting the pit lane. There goes Short Marcus past him, the Mercedes and the McLaren, and he's gonna slot out just behind them, straight back into where he was. So not a lot other than Short Marcus and Kresnos, that swap, and a rather big amount of time between them, though that is now beginning to tick down, or it has ticked down over the course of the lap. More people coming into the pits at the back. Stinky Pinky's in, Hazard's in, Daedrix just leaving, onto a set of hard tyres by the looks of it. Medium tyres. So now, interestingly, a very varied amount of time spent on each tyre. So Antonio and Alex are the longest stints at the moment. 14 laps on the hard tyres. It wasn't going to be any other tyre, was it? Of course it was going to be the hards, but 14 laps is still quite a push on amount of tyre time. So fair play to him, to say the very least. As I think, yes indeed, he does now decide to come in. He's lost about, what, 0.2 of a second there through that last section of the track, as is. So Kresnos is beginning to close down that gap. It's been 0.4 already, as J-Horse really putting on the pressure as well onto the back of Kresnos. He wants to get this... he wants to get this turned around, doesn't he? He wants past. He's just going to set the fastest lap with DRS now. Kresnos, and he knows this is a good opportunity to get past as well, because Kresnos doesn't have DRS yet. He probably will have DRS next lap if he continues this assault as he is at the moment. That was a very special start from Short Marcus. Yeah, he's done really well, to be fair. A great pit stop strategy. Only issue is now is he's losing time, like, considerably to the other drivers. So he is going to have to turn that around fairly soon, to say the least. We have had a bit of a split as well in the DRS chain between, by the looks of it, Mr. Cookie and Antonio. That's a 1.9 second gap, so roughly the same as Short Marcus to Kresnos. Although Antonio does have those medium tyres, so he should be able to, once they've warmed up, close that gap down, possibly go for a couple of moves here or there, especially considering the fact that Mr. Cookie is on a time penalty, puts him in a much more dire situation than pretty much every other driver around him. Jay Thompson's the only other guy that has a penalty. Both are 5 seconds, so both speeding in the pit lane are, I believe, I know Mr. Cookies definitely was, but I don't know about Jay Thompson. I might have talked about it, but I can't remember whatsoever. So Kresnos isn't going to have DRS this lap unless he gets an absolutely phenomenal chicane. But did close down 0.4 in that lap alone. So pretty much the amount that Shawn Marcus would have gained over the course of sort of his 3 laps or so is about the same as what we're now closing down back to him. I definitely think this could get interesting by the time we get to about lap 21, 22. At the absolute latest. Whether we'll be fighting right to the end, I'm not too sure. I hope so. I hate it when it mellows out right at the very end of the race, when it should be at its most intense and its most amazing. We get it like 5 laps early and it's actually kind of depressing. Right, well, see, this is the thing. We're talking about fighting going on just slightly behind as well. That was Hazard getting himself past Alex. So the two Williams cars just swapping places there, I believe, into turn one. It might have actually been through the S's, considering how late on they were by the time I got there. Hoppius, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. So those are beginning to rack up now. And importantly, Short Marcus has lost that 2.5 second advantage that he had. The gap between P7 and P8 is significant, to be honest. We've got two very clear and defined sections of this track. P1 to P7, and then sort of P8 down to P13, and then P14, 15, and then P16. So I'd say got quite a few, actually. And here we go. Kresnos around the outside, gets it done marvellously. Leaves Short Marcus with absolutely no hope of staying in the lead there. Impressive move from the Mercedes driver to get himself up into the lead of the race. And we've currently got a caution in Sector 2. That is P16, as he's just trying to recover. Does so, and will be going green any moment now. Just towards the front, really. This is where, I mean, it's such an intense battle, isn't it? I mean, I look at how close Antonio is. He's on those medium tyres, and he has just gone and picked up fastest lap of the race, I believe. Yes, he has. Half a second faster than the next closest man, who sits currently behind him. So it's safe to say he's in a rather comfortable position as it stands. But he'll be wanting to get past. He'll be wanting to try and close that gap down sharpish. And try and get past Cookie, try and get past J-Horse, because he's definitely got a shot of winning here. And whoa, what's happening just in front? I don't know whether that's just cars glitching out or not. I'm not too sure. But it's definitely had a major effect on J-Horse as he falls all the way down to P5. And now going through 130, we're too wide at one point. As Antonio, I think, is going to have to nearly back out of the front assault and have to deal with J-Horse just behind. And he's all slot into place. I've got absolutely no idea what happened. Whether that was just a bit of lag, whether that was actually contact being made, I've got absolutely no idea. But now Mr. Cookie is going to go down the inside of Short Marcus to take P2 here. And I think Antonio wants to follow him, and he's going to try it. And he pulls it off. Not quite. And a little bit of contact being made there. And that spins the Alfa Romeo around, and that ends Short Marcus's attempt on the win today here, as he falls all the way down to P7 now, as he gets himself going once again. That's an absolute tragedy for him. He'll be most disappointed at that matter. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. One simple mistake, or whether it was a bit of lag, I've genuinely got no idea. Either way, something happened down that back straight. All hell's broken loose. And we say bye-bye to Short Marcus's opportunity at winning this race. A man that has led for a comfortable amount of time up until a couple of laps ago. All the way now sits down in P7 and will maybe salvage an extra position if he really starts closing the gap over the space of sort of the next 8-9 laps that we have left. Well, Kresnos gets himself now in a rather nice position, really. He's got one less driver to worry about, but now he's got Mr. Cookie behind. The benefit of having Mr. Cookie behind is you can let him through so long as you don't let him go 5 seconds in front of you. So that is a big win for Kresnos. The big loss is Antonio, who's now a lot closer than he was before. On those medium tyres, can definitely close that gap. So that's a plausible threat. But J Horse and J Thompson also both with penalties. That puts him in a rough position, doesn't it? That does. That puts him in a really rough position. J Horse slightly better off. It's only a 3 second rather than a 5. And now out of DRS zone as well. That pretty much takes them out of contention of winning this. But Kresnos is in a wonderful position at the moment. Interesting enough, Mr. Cookie and Kresnos, the two men that are fighting for P2 in the championship as it stands. Kresnos sits ever so slightly in front and is currently ever so slightly in front on track. But he has got two cars behind him to worry about. The Alpine and the AlphaTauri. As the AlphaTauri is looking very, very pacey. Being able to stick with that group on those hard tyres when everybody else is on mediums has done this man a huge favour, and he can definitely go for the win here. I think the only person that's really going to stop him is Kresnos. Kresnos has got, I'm even going to say, about a 50-50 chance of winning this. Personally, I think it could go either way between the two. I don't know who's got more of a chance here, but they are so bunched up going into the chicane. There is not half a second that splits the three, as we now lead. Mr. Cookie, amazing run. Is he going to be able to get the lead of the race? Yes, he is. Is Antonio going to be able to follow? Yes, he is. Swoops down the inside, and that puts Antonio Cortez into the kind of lead of this race. Mr. Cookie leads on track position, but it is a net lead for the GSR driver, who currently sits in P2, 3/10 off the back. Short Marcus, interestingly enough, going on to a fresh set of soft tyres, is going to lose a few places here, but we'll have a couple of laps to try and gain them back. But now, Antonio, that's an absolutely wonderful benefit for Antonio. He's going to have to now work hard to keep Kresnos behind, and I think one of the best ways he can do that is getting in front of Mr. Cookie. As J Horse and J Thompson kind of beginning to fall off the back here. 8/10 now between him and Kresnos, 9/10. It's possible. Well, he's definitely within the range of Mr. Cookie, so he's going to go above him, I believe. Is he within 2 seconds? He is. He is within 2 seconds, so he does still go above Mr. Cookie at the moment, but only by 3/10. So he'll definitely want to be trying to close in as much as possible to ensure that he stays within that 2 seconds. But I think by far, gap to leader is a much better way of looking at this at the moment, because it's Mr. Cookie and J-Horse, and it's Kresnos and Antonio that the guys that matter at the moment. And now is Antonio going to be able to go for it? He looks to the outside, he swoops to the inside, and he gets in front before they even hit the braking zone. That's Antonio into the position lead of this race. He's come through the DRS pack from basically lap 6. And he's now gotten himself finally on lap 22 into the lead of the race. A very, very impressive drive as of right now. But we've still got time to go. It's still 5 laps remaining in this race. Now, it's just important that he holds onto it. Maybe... Oh, that changes everything. Safety car. I don't know why. I don't know what's caused it. No one's going slowly. No one's DNF'd. What? When I tell you that changes everything, I mean everything. Do people change? Personally, I think it would be utter madness for Jay Thompson, Jackalacko, R. Henson, Stinky Pinky, really all of those lot not to change, which then almost kind of forces Jay Thompson to change because he knows Jackalacko is going to change. Hopefully that buffers up to the front guys, because they know that, hang on a minute, if they're on fresh softs, so like the last few laps of the race, and right behind me, and warmed up tyres, even the medium runner's got no chance. Even Antonio's got no chance here. Is he going to come into the pits and risk it? No, he doesn't. He stays out. Cookie goes in. Kresnos in. J-Horse in. Jackalacko, what will he do? Daedric Prince gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Oh, this changes everything now. Kresnos getting himself out. Mr. Cookie serving that. Serving the penalty as well, interestingly enough. That's an absolutely huge advantage for Mr. Cookie, because he got the opportunity to serve the penalty, which puts him now basically at a no-net loss from his penalty. Okay, he might have lost a position, but you know what? He's much closer now, and J-Horse hasn't had that opportunity. He's still got that 3-second time penalty. The tide is now leaning in Mr. Cookie's favour, but the tide is now really leaning in Kresnos' favour. I'm really, honestly surprised that Antonio hasn't gone in. Because those 7-lap-old medium tyres, they're going to be, what, 8, maybe even 9 laps old by the time we get going again. He's had it. Everybody else behind is on fresh softs. Except for Short Marcus, who's on 2-lap-old softs. And the Alpine, who's on 4-lap-old mediums. He's going to really struggle if he doesn't come into the pits now. Only issue is Kresnos is there. Oh dear, the man that's put in so much effort had an unbelievable strategy run, and it's all, I think, unfolded in the very last moment. Honestly, when I tell you, a flabbergasted. Genuinely amazed at what's just happened. I can't quite wrap my head around the fact that this is mad. This has actually turned out to be a really good race. And I think these last couple of laps could be some of the best last laps we've had all season. Because Antonio's going to try and hold on to dear life. And I think he's really going to struggle, especially down that back straight. It's long and it's quite easy to get a pass. Only issue is throughout most of the lap, he can conserve ERS to then use down the back straight to maybe hold on to a position here or there. I see him struggling to hold on to the lead here, and I think he sees it as well. Sorry. Kresnos, absolutely wonderful positioning. Yeah, GSR needs to try and hold top four best he can. I guess he's got the buffer of J-Horse because he can still finish 2.99 seconds behind him and still take his position. So that's a handy buffer, but it's only one place. So really, he needs to finish P5 and still be like within that time range of J-Horse, which is a lot of parameters. If you can just finish up there, that's much easier, I would have probably said. Righty, well, we'll be coming up to Sector 3 soon, so maybe I'd like to think that we get going now. Are we going for one more lap? No, we're not. I know how OP that fresh softs are. 1.3 seconds faster. We've got 3 laps. Oh, this could be interesting. Right. It's an ultimate strategist's nightmare. Antonio gets us going. He's gone fairly early, to be honest. And Kresnos is going to probably try and get that move made into turn 1 straight off the bat. If he can run through, get the decent ERS, get the decent slipstream. He can't quite pull it off, so he's going to probably have to wait a little bit later on in the lap. But he is going to be closer than anybody's ever been through this run. He's going to have such a significant tyre advantage because those tyres are not only going to be straight on the ball, they're going to be red hot and ready to race with. He'll be warming them up throughout the safety car. And look at how close he is, even through a section where we've seen nobody go for a move yet. He's already unbelievably close. It's going to be incredibly difficult for the AlphaTauri to shake off that Mercedes, and I think it's just going to pretty much run in tandem. Everybody's going to be able to stay so close together as Antonio still leads as of right now, but it's just a matter of when's it going to happen. Personally, I think the dead straight, the final straight, is going to be a massive factor here. If he can stay in front for just one more lap, that could massively benefit his position in this race. I doubt he'll be able to stay in the lead of the race for the entire time, but if he can just hold on to this one lap, it could be an absolutely huge advantage for him and get himself into a fairly decent final finishing position. But look at just how close that Mercedes is already. They haven't even gotten to the point yet where they can really go for a move. through 130R, and I think the Mercedes is going to try and go for it at the chicane. No, he doesn't. He holds off eventually, trying to almost defend against J-Horse and have a little look on the AlphaTauri. But look at how close he is. It's a quarter of a second. It's a quarter of a second back to the McLaren. It's so very close, and just behind as well. Mr. Cookie is going for a move on sharp markers, but Antonio is going to have to swoop around the outside if he wants to keep hold of this position, and he does so for now, but the Mercedes is still in with a chance here, and he's not been able to make it. Antonio holds on for now in an absolutely unbelievable move around the outside in turn 1. How on earth he managed to hold on to that, I have no idea. But there we go. GSR Antonio stays in the lead for now. J-Horse still running up the back of these drivers as Jackalacco currently sat in P4. Short Markers sits in P5. Mr. Cookie has fallen all the way down to P6 after that conundrum. Down the back straight is all hell breaking loose here, and it's just the Mercedes looking for an opportunity here to get past, but Antonio is holding them off for now, but he's just so unbelievably close. It's like Kresnos is almost guaranteed to get past, but we've already seen Antonio's defending ability. How on earth he's managed to go for that move around the outside at the start of this very lap, I've got absolutely no idea whatsoever. But I don't think it's going to be quite as easy this time, as Kresnos is going to be able to go down the inside before they even hit it. He's going to stay in with a chance here. They're going to have to slow down massively. That pushes Antonio wide and puts J-Horse through. Impressively done, and that's going to almost allow Jackalacco to try and get through here. Can he make it work? Yes, he can. And now look, Antonio falls down the grid after a couple of unlucky laps. Just in front as well. Short Markers now gets a good run on Jackalacco. Can he get it down the inside into turn 1? No. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. It's finally made. Daedric Prince, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and round goes Antonio. It's a fall from grace. He's all the way down at the back of the pack now, those medium tyres. And there we go, retiring from the session. Antonio is done with this race. The soft effect is well and truly completely taken over this race for now. Short Marcus currently sits in P3 now. This is damage limitation for J-Horse. He needs to try and push away from as many physical cars as he can. At the moment, he currently slots in P5, I believe. Yeah, P5 he currently slots. But our Henson is incredibly close to the back of that. He needs to close down pretty much sort of about a second or so to be able to get into that realm. J-Horse will want to try and get past right at the very end of this race to try and gain as much time as possible. But for now, Kresnos leads on the very final lap of the race, coming through the long, fastest corner. I don't think it is the fastest, but it's definitely one of the most fun corners on the calendar season. Into the chicane for one final time. He's led for a vast quantity of this. He's done very well to come back from all the difficulties, and Kresnos crosses the line to win in Japan. Short Markers comes P2, Jackalacco P3, Mr. Cookie P4, J-Horse slots in P5 in the end there, and our Henson takes home P6. And there we go, a race with such close fighting ends with actually a rather large gap to leader, with first to sixth being 4 seconds in the end. But honestly, it could have been closer. It could have been further away. That was unbelievable. Well, congratulations to the Mercedes driver. He's done an absolutely phenomenal job there to get the win right at the end of the race when almost all hope was seen to be lost. He's come out of the safety car. He's done a magnificent job. Well done to all 3 podium finishers on a superb event. So with that, Kresnos comes across to win the race today with fastest lap as well. So it's a nice points haul for the Hungarian driver. Short Marcus in P2 for Alfa Romeo, and Jackalacco P3 for the Aston Martin team. Mr. Cookie P4 for Alpine, and J-Horse all the way down in P5. And will lose a significant amount of points to Kresnos, a second place at the moment. I don't think it's all of his points lost, but he's definitely lost a fair few of them from that result there. Henson P6 AlphaTauri, and Jay Thompson in P7 for Aston Martin. Kodoy P8 for Red Bull, and Hoppius P9 for Haas. Stinky Pinky P10 for Red Bull, and Hazard P11 for Williams. Alex P12 for Williams as well, so Williams finishing one between one another. Daedric P13 for the McLaren side, Antonio P14 for AlphaTauri, Chai in P15 for Alpine, Jimmy Jags P16 for Mercedes, and Excelest in P17 for Ferrari, with Antonio and below DNFing, but Antonio will pick up points because he DNF'd in the very last lap, so he did complete enough to still be classified. So that 30-point lead of J-Horse is now all the way reduced to just 17. It's not looking good for him at all. But, well, what a phenomenal race. And it's almost a real big shame that I'm unable to do. Yes, sorry. It's a real shame that I'm now able to do interviews today because I need to get off because I've got a 4 a.m. alarm and I need my sleep. Thank you all very much for watching what I would widely consider the best race of the season so far. Let's hope that the next one is even better. Thank you all, and good night.